Meet Mary, a person with low vision.
My name is Mary Secora, Secora. I live in Columbia, Missouri, and I am retired. I have macular degeneration, but not the age-related type. I was diagnosed when I was 29 years old with juvenile macular degeneration, so I've been dealing with print issues.
What type of assistive technology do you use?
On my desktop computer, I use ZoomText, which is a magnification software, and it has served me well for over 25 years. I probably would have not been able to enjoy my final years of employment had it not been for assistive technology, and particularly ZoomText, because it'll magnify anything and everything. On my handheld devices, my iPad and my iPhone, I use screen expansion. I rely a lot on that. I have gone into the Microsoft accessibility and increased the fonts, not to the fullest amount. And I also have adjusted the lighting and brightness to suit me.
What do you use the internet for?
I use it for email primarily. I mean, that's a lot of it. I also use it for downloading books. Because of my vision loss over the years, I have not enjoyed reading large print. Reading large print books had become really tedious. Having the access to the library basically 24 hours a day where you can download audiobooks, that to me is a major blessing. I can be visiting somebody in another state and I'd have access to my library and books. I use social media, shop, price comparison, and being retired, I find enjoyment using my devices. I look up recipes. I don't use a cookbook anymore because again they're hard, small print, hard to read. So I can look up a recipe. I can expand it. I can take a photo of it and use that. I can also listen to a book while I'm cooking and do things like that. So I use the internet many hours a day. It would be a big disappointment if I didn't have access to it.
What are barriers you experience using the internet?
Probably the largest issue is the fine print, the different things. So if I'm not able to expand the screen, then that becomes a real frustration. I also have problems with color and background contrast. So many of the pages, in fact, I'd say probably 95% of them are going to be a white background. I realize that you can go in and reverse the background, but that doesn't particularly work for me. But for people who use a pale font, sometimes it's the font type, but if their agency colors have a light turquoise or a pale yellow in them, and they're using that color print on a white background, it's just not a sharp enough contrast for me to pick out the words. And even expanding the screen doesn't seem to help. Sometimes it's the fonts that are more cursive. As I've aged, those things seem to be, I mean, I am a cursive reader, but those things seem to be a barrier to me. And then when they have a whole paragraph in all capital letters, that is a real killer because all of the letters basically look alike. So I have a type preference, and I like a real distinctive type where you can identify the B from the D and good upper and lowercase distinction. Those are very important to me.
Why is access to the internet important?
For people with other disabilities, I'd say it's equally important. I think one of the things that adaptive equipment, assistive devices, accessibility. It's been a real equalizer for people with disabilities. They can do things that everybody else is doing, yet they can remain independent. If they want to do online banking, and they can do that independently, they don't have to, they can remain, information can be remain private, and that's very critical. I think independence, privacy, I think those things are important to every individual, whether you have a disability or not. And I think that's what's only fair.
What tips can you offer to ensure accessible websites?
Well, since I'm looking at it mainly from a vision perspective, I would say using distinctive fonts that are going to allow a person who might have some barriers with using all caps, where they can distinguish uppercase and lowercase letters. It's much easier to read. And then the color and background print contrast, to me, is probably the most important thing. Let's see a lot of sharp contrast between the print color and the background color.
Last thought?
Accessible design matters 100%. Let's do it.
To learn more, watch the other AT user videos in this series. You can see more AT user videos by visiting our YouTube channel, Missouri AT. Thank you, Mary, our AT user in this video, www.at.mo.gov.